Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Jumpstart Monday. This is Michael Virardi, and our today's power skill is on resilience. And yes, if there was ever a time that almost the whole world has been exposed to resilience, this is the time because we have gone through 2 years of pandemic, and I can dare say that even our grandfathers and grandmothers have had some sort of resilience in dealing with unforeseen circumstances. So today's episode will be divided into two parts. In the first part, Sophia will be coming on to tell us how we can build resilience as individuals. And in the second part, I will be coming on to talk about how we can build resilience as teams. So with this, let me say that we're broadcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And please feel free to share this episode so we can get more people on the episode. Or if you want to share it with people you care about and you want to help them build their resilience, do so now. So with this in mind, let me bring on Sophia to our show. Sophia, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, everyone. I am feeling great.
Excellent.
So today, as you said, I'm going to talk about how to build resilience yourself. I did a bit of research on this, and what I saw in every book and every article I read was that resilience is like a muscle that you need to build by practicing. So I decided to give you 3 tips that will help you practice resilience in your life. And the first tip is practice being rejected. It sounds, it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but if you practice failing, then you will see that you will have a different result when it comes to coming in front of bigger challenges. One of the most influential books since the Second World War, according to the Sunday Times, is called The Black Swan, and it's written by Nassim Taleb, who is an options trader. And Nassim said in his book that in order to prepare for events that seem unlikely, like a pandemic, a war, now it sounds like a joke because everything happened, but in order to prepare for these events, you need to practice with smaller events. Let me put his quote here. He says, avoiding mistakes makes bigger ones more severe. And I will give you a small story about this from my personal life. When I finished my degree and I was looking for a job, I was applying to jobs left and right. And I have a friend of mine, and this friend, she was very careful about what kind of applications she was sending. She was sending maybe 1 or 2 or 3 per month, where I was sending not hundreds, but tens of applications every month. In the end, what happened was that I was getting a lot of rejections. And she told me, Sophia, how can you handle it? And I said, you know what? It was difficult in the beginning to get so many rejections, but now I don't care. And the result was that I got a job faster than her. So the learning is practice being rejected. Go out there, put yourself out there, try new things, and you will see that you will build more resilience. And that brings me to the second tip of today. And the second tip is do and learn something new. If I break my right hand today, the most difficult part will not be that I broke my right hand. The most difficult part will be that I will have to learn to write with my left hand, because I don't know how to write with my left hand. When bad things happen to us, this is what we need to do after. We need to learn new things. So practice learning something new. In Greek, we have this word called resili. Resili means that you get embarrassed in front of many people. And my friend reminded me of this word a few months ago when I started CrossFit. So I found myself, being in a class with younger and more fitter people. And I constantly felt that I was embarrassing myself because I was the last one in the group. And she told me, you're building resilience. And I said to her, what do you mean I'm building resilience? So she showed me this graphic. Let me put it on the screen. So the left girl says to the other one, you are going to embarrass yourself. And the other one says, I don't care. Resilience. So sometimes, you have to dare and you have to try to build that muscle that where you don't care if you embarrass yourself in the process of learning something new. And yes, final tip for today, it comes actually from a story that you told me, Michael, about your friend. I don't remember his name. I don't know if you want to say his name.
Alex Novikov. Shout out to Alex Novikov, who ran from London to Brighton, 100 kilometers. 100 kilometers, yes.
Yeah, amazing. To run, I used to run 20 kilometers, and I thought it was a long distance. So Michael told me that he asked his friend, how did you manage to run 100 kilometers? And he said, from my energy. And it's actually true. The third tip, if you want to build resilience in your life, you need to manage your energy. And I'm going to refer to a book here. Let me bring the graphic up. And the book is called The Power of Full Engagement. And in this book, they talk about how you can build resilience by managing your energy. And they say that we have 4 different buckets of energy: our physical bucket, our body mainly, our emotional bucket, which is, if I give you an example of this, is if you wake up in the morning and you say, I feel great today, I feel energized. This is how we feel. Our mental energy, this is our energy to do calculations, thoughts, to strategize. And finally, our spiritual energy. Maybe spiritual is not a good word, but anyway, it's the energy we get from having a goal, from having a purpose. For example, your friend Michael, when he said, my goal is to run 100 kilometers. We derive energy from all these 4 buckets, and it is normal in our life that one of these buckets is depleted for any reason. So if we want to build resilience, we need to learn how to build energy by putting back energy in these buckets, either by taking care of our body, either by spending time in activities that energize us, etc. So these are my 3 tips. I took a long time, so I'm going to pass it on to you, Michael, to talk about how we can bring resilience in our teams as leaders.
Sophia, first and foremost, I have to say that you were very prepared. I enjoyed every second that you spoke. I learned a few things as well. So I'm going to apply them slowly, but with conviction. So yes, dear friends, now it's about resilience in regards to our teams. In Q4 of 2020, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, announced amazing results for his company. And when he was asked by reporters how come in the midst of a pandemic announcing such great results, he said it's down to 2 things. Number 1 is resilience, and number 2 is about having high functioning teams. So Sophia, Tim Cook talked about 4 characteristics of high functioning teams with resilience. And these are the 4 characteristics that we witness very often in successful teams. So I'm about to show you all the characteristics before giving you some examples. Number 1, it's candor. You need to be able to speak the truth with each other. Sophia needs to feel comfortable to tell me what I need to improve. I need to feel comfortable to tell Sophia what she needs to improve without shooting the messenger. High-functioning teams, which can build resilience in the process, need to have candor. Secondly, they need to be resourceful. In other words, they need to remain focused on the outcome irrespective of what's happening out there. An example of this, Sophia, a vivid example can be what happened to us in the last 2 years. Physical seminars accounted for 82% of our income, and physical seminars have gone down to 16% the last 2 years, and we're still alive, we're still here, we're still kicking, and last year we had our second best year ever. So this means that we were focused on our outcome irrespective of external conditions. Third, compassion. You need to care deeply about the other person. That's why it's called a team, Sophia. You need to care deeply about the other person. I care deeply what Sophia and her family is doing in Switzerland, and I hope they're well, because if they're well, Sophia can function better, and probably Sophia is doing the same for my family and myself here, even though we're thousands of miles apart. So teams that are resilient and high functioning, they also have compassion. And the last one, probably one of the most important ones, is humility. It's the willingness to ask for help if there are intractable problems. Sophia spoke about humility earlier without even mentioning the word, but she got into that class. She's working out, she's doing her best, trying to improve her performance, even though she's surrounded by younger people who are much fitter. The same holds true for the World Economic Forum, which said that by 2025, we need to learn new skills. 50%, that's 1 in 2 of us, needs to learn new skills in order to remain competitive. So these are the 4 characteristics, dear friends, of high-functioning teams which show resilience. And now, let me tell you, through our experience as consultants with Sophia, what are some other things you can do based on these 4 characteristics in order to build a resilient team. Number 1 is called candor breaks. People need to feel this psychological safety to talk about the elephant in the room. If people inside your company feel uncomfortable speaking to you as the leader, and vice versa, if you as the leader feel uncomfortable speaking to your team about the elephant in the room, about what needs to be improved, then you have less chances of building a high-functioning team which is resilient. Secondly, it's called independent observers. What we've seen with Sophia happening the past few months is that a lot of teams want a frank assessment and an objective perspective coming from the outside. So what they are doing is they're asking their teams to complete a 360-degree survey with also a psychometric test. And they're getting an inside perspective of how their colleagues feel about the manager, about their peers, about their subordinates, but also they're getting our perspective from the outside. And this is something that we've seen happening over and over again. And I can tell you that up until the end of May, we're swamped with 360 and psychometric. And this is the answer, Sophia, to what you were asking me. How come this month? How come this year? And how come everything happened all at once? I think it's teams that want to become more resilient and more high functioning. The third tip, I learned it from my late father, Rolando, who said that one of the best ways when you have hurdles in your way, this can be a pandemic, this can be an economic crash, this can be anything, and we're going through different waves. It's a roller coaster of a life and of a business life. So by sharing stories, you map out your life's journey, you get inspiration and motivation, but you also see that you have managed to surpass and obstacles that came your way. So by doing this, you give your team the luxury to understand that they can do it, and you're giving them a floor to express themselves. And by doing that, they are also motivating themselves in the process. The fourth thing is owning challenges. Let people express their fears and concerns. And especially during a downturn, during a pandemic, during difficult times, people do have fears and concerns. I believe there is not a single person on this earth that doesn't go to sleep with a thorn in their back. There is something. It can be personal, it can be professional, but there is a thorn in our backs. So if you let your people express their concerns and own their challenges, then you, as the leader, can help them out. And my last tip is take the temperature control of your team on a daily basis. Not like this, like they're taking our temperature going into conference rooms or into offices. I was in England recently. I think all of this has stopped, and I'm so happy about it. But take their temperature by asking them from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. 1 being I don't feel well, 5 means I feel great. And if you get people who have are pinpointing to 1 or 2 or 3, then maybe you can help them out going one-on-one as the leader. If you do all this, then you will be in a much better position to build resilient teams who are well functioning. So I repeat the 4 characteristics that you should look into. build candor inside your team. Tell them it's all about resourcefulness. Get them to come up with solutions as well. Don't only depend on your solutions or on your suggestions. Show compassion. And if you manage to build a great team, you have managed also to build a team with compassion. And last but not least, it's all down to humility, because this is a fast-track world. Technology is running loose. So we need to understand that we need to build our skills in the process. So with this, Sophia, and there are many comments coming in, and as you are speaking, I'm going to be showing some of the comments. Please take it away and make some announcements.
Yes, thank you everyone for the great comments I see here. And for those who are watching us as well, thank you, Minas. You sent me a message that you're watching us. A few announcements. You notice that we don't have a guest today because we have a special episode on Thursday with a very special guest. His name is Joe Foster. He's a founder of Reebok, and he's going to talk about his new book and his experience with founding such a great company. So more on that on the social media. We will announce it after this episode.
I'm just showing Sophia the good mornings to everyone. Let me also answer a question by one of our friends and fans. Great tips, Sophia, by Sergio Sergiu.
Thank you.
Great example, Sophia. Very good. So, Michael, will there be a recording available? Of course, there will be a recording available. As soon as this episode finishes, you can share this episode. Is that correct, Sophia?
That's true. Yes.
That's true. Very good. So, you mentioned about the Reebok founder, Joe Foster, who's coming on our show. Dear friends and fans, thank you very much. Hope you found this episode to be of interest. Hope these tips inspire you to become even more resilient or to build resilience inside your teams. Thank you very much. Take good care and talk to you very soon.